In the realm of live performances, where excitement and anticipation usually reign, lurks a shadowy undercurrent of potential danger. Today, we delve into the murky depths of three chilling incidents that shattered the illusion of safety and left indelible scars on the entertainment world. From dimly lit stages to packed venues, we'll explore how moments of artistic expression transformed into nightmarish scenarios, catching audiences off guard and leaving them forever changed. Prepare yourselves for a haunting exploration of these disturbing live performances. The curtain is about to rise on a show unlike any other, one that will challenge your perceptions and leave you questioning the very nature of entertainment. But before we dive in, some of the details in these stories are extremely disturbing and may not be suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is strongly advised. As always, remember to hit the like button, share the video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. Alright, let's dive into the video. In the annals of rock history, few tales evoke as much dread and sorrow as the tragedy that befell guitar virtuoso Darrell, also known by his stage name Dimebag. On a cold December night in 2004, the stage became a scene of unimaginable horror, forever altering the landscape of live music. Dimebag Darrell, a six-string wizard whose riffs ignited the metal world, had risen to legendary status with Pantera. His unmistakable tone and blistering solos became the heartbeat of a generation of headbangers. When Pantera's flame flickered out amidst internal strife, the Abbott brothers refused to let their passion die. From the ashes of their former band, Damageplan emerged, a phoenix of heavy metal, with Dimebag's signature sound at its core. The new project promised a fresh start, a chance to recapture the magic that had once set stages ablaze across the globe. But fate had other plans. As Damageplan's tour bus rolled into Columbus, Ohio on December 8, 2004, none could foresee the impending nightmare awaiting them at the Alrosa Villa nightclub. In the shadows lurked Nathan Gale, a troubled ex-Marine harboring a toxic obsession. His deranged mind had woven a tapestry of delusions, casting Dimebag as the villain in his twisted narrative. As the sun set on that fateful day, Gale's sinister plan began to unfold. The Alrosa Villa pulsed with anticipation as fans led in, eager to witness Damageplan's sonic assault. Unbeknownst to them, evil had already breached the venue's defenses. Gale, armed and determined, bided his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the first chords of Damageplan's set shattered the air, chaos erupted. Gale, a human missile of malice, jumped on the stage. In a heartbeat, the unthinkable became reality. The crack of gunfire pierced through the music, and Dimebag Darrell, the guitar god who had stood larger than life, fell to the ground. The crowd was in disbelief. Surely this was some macabre stage act. But as more shots rang out, the horrifying truth dawned. This was no act. Death had come to claim its victims on hallowed ground. Panic engulfed the venue. Fans scrambled for exits, their screams of terror drowning out the dying notes of interrupted music. On stage, band members and crew fought for survival, grappling with the realization that their worst nightmare had become a blood-soaked reality. As the gunsmoke cleared, a deadly standoff ensued. Gale, now holding a hostage, faced off against law enforcement. The air crackled with tension, each second an eternity for those caught in this real-life horror show. In the end, it took a single shot from Officer James Niggemeyer's shotgun to end Gale's rampage. But the damage was done. Dimebag Darrell, along with three others, lay lifeless, sacrifices to a madman's delusion. In the aftermath, the music world reeled. The sanctuary of the stage had been violated, and the illusion of safety at concerts shattered. Dimebag's tragic end sent shockwaves through the industry, prompting a complete overhaul of security measures at live events. Metal barriers rose higher, security personnel multiplied, and the once porous boundary between artist and audience became an impenetrable wall. The age of innocence in live music had ended, replaced by an era of vigilance and caution. Yet, Even as the industry adapted to this new reality, Dimebag's legacy refused to fade. His music, a testament to his unparalleled skill and passion, continued to inspire generations of guitarists. In death as in life, Dimebag Darrell remained a towering gur in the pantheon of metal gods. The tragedy at Alrosa Villa serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of evil. It stands as a dark chapter in music history, a moment when the lights dimmed on one of metal's brightest stars. But from this darkness, a renewed appreciation for live music emerged. Each concert became not just a celebration of sound, but a defiant statement, a refusal to let fear silence the power of rock. Dimebag's spirit lives on in every riff, every solo, and every moment of connection between the artist and the audience. As the curtain falls on this tale of tragedy and resilience, we're left to ponder the true cost of our passion for music. In the end, Dimebag Darrell's legacy reminds us that even in the face of unspeakable horror, the show must and will go on. In the history of musical infamy, few bands have etched their name as deeply into the darkness as Mayhem. This Norwegian black metal outtee didn't just push boundaries, they obliterated them, leaving a trail of controversy, tragedy, and musical innovation in their wake. Mayhem's reputation in the black metal scene was forged in the fires of extremism. Founded in 1984, the band quickly became synonymous with the raw, uncompromising sound that would define Norwegian black metal. Their music was a sonic assault, a cacophony of blast beats, tremolo-picked guitars, and unholy shrieks that seemed to emanate from the depths of hell itself. But it wasn't just their sound that set Mayhem apart. Their live performances were rituals of darkness, designed to shock and disturb. The stage became an altar of the profane, where the boundaries between performance and reality blurred into a nightmarish tableau. At the center of this maelstrom stood Per-Yngve Allin, better known by his chilling moniker, Dead. This Swedish vocalist brought a level of commitment to Mayhem's morbid aesthetic that bordered on the pathological. Dead's onstage antics were the stuff of legend and nightmare. Covered in corpse paint, Dead would often bury his clothes before a show, digging them up just before taking the stage to ensure they were infested with the stench of decay. He would carry around a dead crow in a plastic bag, huffing its putrid aroma before performances to, in his words, sing with the stench of death in his nostrils. But Dead's most notorious act was his penchant for self-mutilation during shows. Armed with broken bottles or knives, he would carve into his own flesh as he performed, spattering the front rows with his blood. This wasn't mere showmanship. It was a disturbing manifestation of Dead's obsession with death and his own mortality. Tragically, Dead's fascination with death would culminate in the ultimate act of self-destruction. On April 8, 1991, the 22-year-old vocalist took his own life in the house he shared with his bandmates. The discovery of his body would become one of the most infamous moments in metal history. It was Mayhem's guitarist Øystein Aarseth, known as Euronymous, who first stumbled upon the gruesome scene. Dead had slashed his wrists and throat before using a shotgun to end his life. A note left behind simply read, "Excuse all the blood. Cheers." What followed would cement Mayhem's notoriety and spark controversy that would haunt the band for decades. Instead of immediately calling the authorities, Euronymous' actions were nothing short of shocking. He rearranged items in the room, allegedly even collecting fragments of Dead's skull to fashion into necklaces. But it was Euronymous' next act that would truly scandalize the music world. Before alerting anyone to Dead's suicide, he took photographs of the grisly scene. One of these images would later become the cover of a bootleg live album titled Dawn of the Black Hearts, released in 1995. The photograph of Dead's lifeless body, sprawled on the floor with his wrists slit and a gaping wound in his head, became an icon of black metal's extreme nature. It was a visual representation of the genre's obsession with death and darkness, pushing the boundaries of taste and decency far beyond of what many thought was possible. The fallout from Dead's suicide and the subsequent actions of Euronymous sent shockwaves through the black metal scene. Some saw it as the ultimate expression of the genre's nihilistic philosophy, while others were repulsed by the exploitation of a troubled young man's death. The incident marked a turning point for Mayhem, and for black metal as a whole. It cemented the genre's reputation as the most extreme and controversial form of music, attracting both devoted followers and vehement critics. The lines between art and real-life horror had been irrevocably blurred. In a twist of fate that seemed almost scripted in its tragedy, Euronymous himself would meet a violent end just 2 years later, murdered by former bandmate Varg Vikernes. The cycle of violence and darkness that Mayhem had cultivated had come full circle. The long-lasting impact of the Mayhem incident on the black metal scene cannot be overstated. It set a new benchmark for extremity, both in music and in the personal lives of its practitioners. The genre became inextricably linked with controversy, violence, and antisocial behavior. In the wake of Dead's suicide and the subsequent events, black metal bands pushed their imagery and lyrical themes to even darker territories. Church burnings, Satanism, and Norse paganism became common motifs, as artists sought to outdo each other in shock value and ideological extremism. Yet paradoxically, the notoriety also brought black metal to a wider audience. The genre exploded in popularity throughout the 1990s, with bands like Emperor, Darkthrone, and Immortal gaining international recognition. The underground had been thrust into the spotlight for better or worse. Decades later, the shadow of Mayhem's infamous past still looms large over the black metal scene. The genre has evolved and diversified, but the echoes of those early, shocking days continue to reverberate. Dead's tragic end and Euronymous' controversial actions remain topics of fascination and debate among metal fans and scholars alike. In the end, the Mayhem incident stands as a stark reminder of the power music has to shock, to provoke, and to push the boundaries of acceptability. It's a cautionary tale of what happens when art and life become too closely intertwined, when the darkness that's explored in lyrics and imagery spills over into reality. The legacy of Mayhem is one of musical innovation, but also of tragedy, controversy, and the dangerous allure of extremism. Before we dive into the last story, if you are enjoying the video so far, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, let me know down in the comments. Your support truly means everything. All right, back to the video. In the history of rock's most depraved figures, one name stands out as a beacon of depravity: G.G. Allin. This punk rock provocateur pushed the boundaries of performance art to their absolute limits, leaving a trail of shock, disgust, and morbid fascination in his wake. Born Jesus Christ Allin, G.G. cultivated a persona that was equal parts messiah complex and nihilistic self-destruction. His twisted philosophy centered around the idea that rock and roll should be dangerous, unpredictable, and utterly without limits. Allin saw himself as the last true rock and roller, unbound by societal norms or human decency. G.G.'s performances were much less concerts and more like chaotic rituals of violence and bodily fluids. Audiences never knew what to expect, but they could be certain it would be extremely disturbing. Allin would often appear on stage naked, covered in his own feces, ready to unleash a torrent of abuse on both himself and his audience. Accounts of his shows read like fever dreams of depravity. He would defecate on stage, eat his own excrement, and fling it at the crowd. Self-mutilation was a common occurrence, with Allin cutting himself with broken bottles or smashing microphones against his face until he bled profusely. But it wasn't just self-directed violence that made G.G.'s shows so terrifying. He would frequently attack audience members, throwing punches, bottles, and chairs. Many left his performances bloodied and traumatized, yet somehow a devoted fan base continued to grow around this agent of chaos. One of the most infamous incidents in G.G.'s reign of terror occurred in Houston, Texas. During a particularly violent show, Allin assaulted several audience members before being arrested. The aftermath left a venue trashed, fans injured and Gigi facing serious legal consequences. Yet, even this brush with the law did little to temper his extreme behavior. Gigi Allin's final performance would come on June 27, 1993, at a small club in New York City. True to form, the show quickly devolved into chaos. Allin, naked and covered in blood and feces, performed only a few songs before the power was cut. He then led a group of fans through the streets of Manhattan, causing havoc wherever he went. Hours later, Gigi Allin would be found dead of a heroin overdose in a friend's apartment. He was 36 years old. His death, much like his life, was surrounded by controversy and spectacle. Even in passing, Gigi managed to appall the crowd one last time, with his open casket funeral featuring him dressed in his trademark jockstrap and leather jacket. The legacy Gigi Allin left behind is one of fear, disgust, and morbid fascination. He pushed the boundaries of performance art to their absolute limits, blurring the lines between shock rock, performance art, and genuine mental illness. For some, he represents the ultimate embodiment of punk rock's nihilistic ethos. For others, he was simply a deeply troubled individual who used music as an outlet for his most destructive impulses. Decades after his death, Gigi Allin remains a controversial figure in music history. His influence can be seen in extreme metal and shock rock acts that followed, though few have dared to push the boundaries as far as he did. The fear and revulsion he inspired continue to captivate and repulse new generations of music fans. As we emerge from the shadows of these three harrowing tales, we're left to grapple with the dark underbelly of live music. What began as artistic expression morphed into nightmarish spectacles, forever altering the landscape of performance. The thin line separating art from danger has been laid bare before us. Dimebag Darrell's tragic end shattered the illusion of safety on stage. Mayhem's macabre legacy pushed the boundaries of acceptability to their breaking point. Gigi Allin's reign of terror blurred the distinction between performance and genuine threat. These events have left an indelible mark on the music world. Security measures tightened, audience expectations shifted, and the very nature of live performances came under scrutiny. The echoes of these incidents continue to reverberate through concert halls and clubs worldwide. As we reflect on these disturbing performances, we're reminded of music's power to shock, provoke, and transform. But we're also confronted with the sobering reality that sometimes the price of pushing boundaries can be devastatingly high. So, if you enjoyed this wild ride through the darker side of live music, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. After all, who wouldn't want to stay updated on the next time we dive into the strange, dark, and mysterious? And remember, the only thing scarier than these stories is missing out on our next video.